Saturday, my friends, and welcome to Inside the Minds of Authors. I am so excited you guys are joining us today. Welcome to the Fabulous Podcast. We have an amazing guest today, so I have so much questions, so much to discuss with you guys. But just remember, if you're new to the podcast, Inside the Minds of Authors is here with amazing authors giving you exciting new books. So make sure to subscribe. Whether you're watching us on Facebook or YouTube, follow us along. The journey is amazing. For this season, remember, my friends, we have 3 more authors today and then 1 more on Saturday. And then you can catch the audios throughout the year. And because you guys are here to listen to our new guest, let me bring him on. Hello, Dr. Phil. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you for having me. It's great to be with you today.
It is such a pleasure to talk to you. We're going to be talking about something kind of a little bit different for all authors as well as listeners, but we're going to start with your book because you have a book out. Can you tell us about it before we go into it?
Well, wouldn't you know it, that just yesterday a bunch of boxes arrived and I was able to physically touch the book for the very first time. And so it is a very exciting time with WorldCon coming up in Seattle next week, the big speculative fiction con. I wanted to have some advanced reader copies, and so I got 100 paperbacks, which I call them my Christmas version.
Okay.
And the reason I call it my Christmas version is because I screwed up and didn't pick up the fact that my name is spelled incorrectly at the top of every other page. And so I call it my Christmas version because of that last Noel in my last name, right? So my last name has 2 L's at the end and 1 is missing. But hey, this is first run, right? This is first print kind of thing, but that's my last Noel for Christmas. So there you go.
I love it. So we're going to jump into the audio club. We're going to do something a little different for our viewers, and we're going to explain afterwards. Is instead of Dr. Phil actually reading the book, we're going to actually show you a little bit something fun. So let's bring the audio so everybody's
let's do it.
Let's come up. You guys are going to have a blast with it. So let's do that.
Made with Spoken.
Taming the Perilous Skies by Phil Marshall. We overestimate the day and underestimate the years, until a day is all that remains. Chapter 1. Jack Woods. Monday, October 19th, 2076. Washington, D.C. 8:24 a.m. As I lay there with clods of earth thumping all around me, I thought of my son and of a sparrow. Thinking of the bird was unavoidable. The poor thing was on its side staring at me from only a few inches away, clearly as confused as I was by the strange turn of events. Sparrows often bathe themselves in dirt, which was a handy skill for this particular male to have. He opened his little black beak in a soundless chirp, fluttered free of the debris, and was off clean as a whistle. I sat up to find I had been thrown against the inner wall of a concrete planter. Particles of dust rose and fell, while others seemed frozen in the sky, like as many grains in an ancient photo. I honestly couldn't tell if there was any color left in the world, until I looked down at my hand. There, glinting with the blue of his eyes, was Eric's marble. 7:03 a.m. Tink, 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 tink. It was just a stupid marble, bouncing on our kitchen table. Nothing more. I wouldn't take the bait. I wouldn't allow Eric to torment me, as only an audacious 9-year-old boy could do with a dime-sized ball of glass. Who cared if the marble fell off the table, unshielded from the full brutality of Earth's 9.8 meters per second squared of gravity? A fall that would have been entirely preventable. It had no connection whatsoever, to his first trip alone in an anti-gravity aerial vehicle. Tink. Eric caught the marble, then slipped the cereal bowl beneath the edge of the table. Foop. Swoosh. The muffled cabinet reverberated as it rinsed, dried, and finally clink, restacked the bowl clean. We locked eyes, and our game was on. Why did the moon cross the Earth?
To get to the other tide,
He said. A ping-pong ball-sized anti-gravity orb shrouded in a tissue, one of many little ghosts Eric had put together for Halloween, darted between us. Eric leaned forward slightly.
what do female ghosts have that male ghosts don't?
Boobs, I replied spookily, willing my eyes not to blink. Tink. Stupid marble. There hasn't been a single aerial incident in years despite 7.2 billion flights every day, and flying to the Oak Ridge National Laboratory for his science class? How cool is that? The milestone was inevitable, and I had held off longer than most parents. He would sit buckled into a single passenger vehicle for maybe an hour. Still, I hadn't gotten much sleep festering over it. Why do whales visit the Sea of Galilee? I asked.
For religious purposes.
He said as his eyelids began to quiver under the strain. All of a sudden, which was usually the case with these things, I recalled that whales slept with half their brains at a time, using the other half for surfacing and breathing, and keeping their awake eye on their young. That made me wonder how whales cleared their ears, which made me wonder if they had eustachian tubes, which made me worry about Eric all over again. His eustachian tubes would get plugged at the Ariel's altitude of 30 or 40,000 feet. The Ariel would be pressurized, and Eric knew how to clear his ears. But even so, I thought it best to keep the Ariel's automated trajectory as close to the 500-foot minimum as possible. The trip would take longer, but he'd be more comfortable. Eric raised his left hand over the table.
Why did Mars turn red?
Tink, 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 tink. He set the marble bouncing toward me in a final, desperate attempt to distract. I thrust my hand under the table's edge and caught the marble without ever diverting my stare, then tucked it inside the cuff of my shirt. Because it saw Uranus. Eric busted out a laugh, then dropped his head in defeat. Uranus, I said as I grabbed my optic glasses from the table and put them back on. You can never go wrong with Uranus. Your 2076 Alfa Romeo Phantom will arrive in 10 minutes. The awaiting notification on my lenses read. Then 10 turned to 9.
Now?
Eric asked with a hand hovering above the small black case on the table. I nodded, and the new gunmetal gray glasses gleamed in the kitchen's light as he slipped them on. Nature versus nurture is absolutely bewildering. Eric's medium brown skin was very much like mine, and no doubt his suitors, like mine, would engage in the inevitable game of playful speculation. Latino? Mediterranean? Mixed? His blue eyes, like my green, would invariably confound them. His dark hair, tousled upward into controlled chaos, reminded me of my own, at least when I had hair. And yet, he was so different in so many ways. No fear or anxiety, quick with technology, broad emotional range. He never overanalyzed. In other words, normal. A handsome and brilliant normal.
And there we have it.
Okay, we need to talk about this. I have so many questions. So we're going to start, Dr. Phil. Let's start with the book. I need to know, what is the book about? Where were you going with this journey? And what time frame are we on? Because I have questions. I'm like, wait, what's going on? Tell us.
Yeah, good. So Taming the Perilous Skies, it's set in the year 2076, and society's at the dawn of an epic of peace and prosperity and shared purpose. It comes on the heels of a unified theory in physics and the invention of anti-gravity transforming our world. It's a utopian backdrop for when the aerial control grid malfunctions and millions start plummeting to their deaths. And my main character, Jack, who you just heard, is tasked with the most consequential investigation in human history. And he needs to figure out why the grid has malfunctioned within 12 hours, or his own son, Eric, who you also just heard, will die. And it travels through not just clues that are normal physical clues, but it travels through the world of quantum computing, quantum encryption, gravitation, and because of the implications of this unified theory in physics called the theory of persistence, it takes you through some of the philosophical and even spiritual aspects that actually play a role in figuring out the cause of this crisis. And so Jack has to wrangle a few squirrely characters in order to get to the bottom of things. Not the least of whom are the 95-year-old inventor of anti-gravity, Brian Medlock, who's the most ridiculous and flamboyant person in history, but also the quantum encryption genius that runs transportation technology, and even has to interact with the Catholic Church, because in Italy, at the Milan Duomo, there is something that is happening that is very, very related to what is happening. And so it's an interesting journey through multiple different facets of the implications of a theory in physics.
So I love all these pieces together. Also, the fact that we're talking about a father. You know, life changes when you have children, and now you're putting your kid in the middle of this mess. Like, it's not enough to save the world. Now you have to save your own flesh. Where did this idea come from? Because there's all these little pieces, all these different players going on. How did you come up with this book?
So on 9/11, the 9/11, I was flying to the East Coast. And it was during that flight that I read a tiny little article about the what's called the double slit experiment, where light goes through two gaps in a screen and then produces a pattern of light and dark bands in a wave pattern of interference. And that article caused me to actually create the theory of persistence, that is a unified theory in gravitational physics and with quantum mechanics. Now, I'm not a physicist and I don't have a lab, and I am not going to be posting for peer review. And so I knew that the way to bring that to life was to write an interesting story about it. And so for 24 years, I've endeavored to do that. And in 2018 and 2019, I finally got serious about it. And so the story that wrapped around it, I knew was going to be after anti-gravity was invented. And so I become a bit of a hyper-focused person on the topic of anti-gravity. It's funny because when agents, 120 of them, rejected my query letters, I got the point back that anti-gravity is so overdone, like everything has anti-gravity.
Okay.
And my response was, no, you may have spaceships that seem to use anti-gravity, but this is actually about the transformation of a society that comes about as a result of a theory, anti-gravity, and our grappling with some of the philosophical and spiritual implications. And so it is truly about anti-gravity and everything it would represent to human society. And so that's the journey that I've gone through. And I've been grateful for all the folks, especially these last 5 years, workshops, Taos Toolbox, Futurescapes, Cascade Writers Conference, who have helped me along the way. So it's been a heck of a journey. And September 12th, it's live. It's everything about it. Audio, of course, because I'm the founder of Spoken as well. And so audio is a very big deal. And what you just heard is interesting, because what you'll notice is that Jack was the narrator of his first person POV chapter. But I have an independent narrator for half the chapters, which are told from various other persons' third person close POV. Okay. And so this is one of the things that you can do with multi-voice casting with audio, is to actually change how you approach who narrates what. Of course, romance writers are used to this because they do the dual or duet narration. And so here what I've chosen is kind of that. Jack narrates his own first POV chapters, which are half the chapters in the book, and then the other narrator does the rest. And so being able to mix those voices in a multi-voice way is a personal passion from mine, and it's why I founded Spoken as well. And so there, you got a very long answer, a very thick answer to a very simple question, and so please tell me where you want to go.
I love it all. I'm so excited. You brought us back to a couple of points that I want to make sure we cover, because I know we said, the beginning of the audio clip said done by Spoken, and most people have no idea what Spoken is, unless you're an author and unless you had the opportunity to meet you at a workshop, which I had, and it was amazing. I want us to bring us back to that. What is Spoken? Because you're passionate, you're the CEO, but what does that mean for anybody who's listening and watching? What is Spoken, and how is Spoken getting ready to change everything we know about audiobooks? So I want you to bring us into that world now.
Sure. Yeah. So I'm an audio only reader myself. So that's sort of the backdrop to how I consume stories. And I attended the Taos Toolbox workshop in 2023, and I wrote a particular story with six, interesting characters that had different accents, and the this short little 40-minute listen goes from really fast paced to really slow paced. And so there was just a lot of variety. And I wanted to create a multicast version of that because I was passionate about really compelling multicast or multi voice or full cast. And, and the workflows, the voices, it was just all very daunting and very hard, and it ended up being expensive. And so I founded Spoken to help address that issue, exclusively for authors, the ability to take your manuscript, be able to automate every voice based on how you wrote that character. So custom voices designed just for you, just for that character on the fly. And then, or you can choose voice actor voices if you want as well. And so we have a whole library of those. But being able to in basically one sitting, generate a multi-voice audiobook, I just knew was going to be the biggest dimension of growth in the area of audiobooks. And turns out this last week, when Spotify announced Spotify for Authors and the gates were completely open for AI audiobooks, and you need to only check a checkbox that says digital narration, all of a sudden that's mainstream validation for being able to use this technology, which is amazing because only a year ago at Worldcon in Glasgow, a podcast producer yelled at me and said, AI narration will die. You'll never hear about it again. You'll be embarrassed you even brought it up. And my reaction was, want to bet? and, and so, of course, I knew it was going to be a way for independent self-publishing authors to finally access the world of audio for their works because it's been so inaccessible in the past. And when you talk about inaccessible and then you pull in full cast or multi-voice, my Lord, $15,000 would be the normal cost for a full cast audio production, at least, right?
At least.
And those are base union rates. And so I knew that would be the biggest dimension of growth for audio and for self-publishing, and that's what we're seeing. And so this next week, we're actually going live with our V1 product finally after a year of being in beta and learning from authors. We've still got some kinks to work out. I was, in fact, on with the team this morning working through some things, and so, but I feel like we're ready. The ability to create great audio and then have broad distribution of it, we're really well set. I'm just proud of the team and how it mixes in with my own journey at the exact same time of publishing my debut novel. Like this will either be a miraculous year, 2025, or it'll be a completely disastrous year. I don't know which.
We're going to go with A. So I want to open up this discussion because one of the things, I got an opportunity to meet you and Marsh and the team, and I was blown away. And I know AI is such a hard conversation for people. You either have one extreme or the other. There's always a different camp. I'm very much of the believer that as long as you do it ethically, like do AI ethically, it has a way of transforming where we are. We're not going to put the genie back in the box, so let's figure it out what to do. But because of your ethical view on AI and how you're doing it in the prospect, I'm getting ready to launch a full cast audio for Desk Intern. Everybody's like, are you going to take the plunge? So all of my author friends are looking at me like, are you going to do this? What does that mean? I was like, it's ethical use of an AI that our readers are going to enjoy and nobody's being harmed. Because you're right, I would love to have a full cast of, human narrators to do it, but do we have $20,000 to pull this together? Right. Is the part. So when you're looking at ethical AI, how do you guys treat it in Spoken, and what do people can expect for this platform?
Yeah, it's a critically important topic, and you can take it from a number of different angles. One of our friends to the organization, Cody Cisco, is a speculative fiction writer, and he did his work, Broken Mirror, with 52 different voice actor voices on the platform. And so he actually used Studio to create, and this was back early beta, and so it was a bit of a haul to, to do that on the platform. But he chose voice actor voices because he really felt like that was the right approach. And what that means is that voice actor has placed their voice on the narration platform, and then they get paid for that. We have partners, 11 Labs, who has that service, of course, and then we also use Hume AI, and both of them also do generating custom voices that we design with the right prompt around every character. And so you have that choice. So when it comes to ethical use of AI, and like, oh, it's going to put people out of jobs, to your point just a moment ago, the truth is that work was never going to be made into audio. It's actually newfound market because it just was so inaccessible and expensive. And so from that standpoint, I think it's a pretty fair argument to say the works weren't going to be made in the first place. This just offers a new opportunity. It's not a zero-sum game, and so that's how we approach that topic. Now, when it comes to the training itself, if you look into the nits and grits of how the voice models are trained, or how the parsing LLMs, which are trained models in our case, get trained, and you look at how the internet and what was available on the internet was used to create the patterns that it's looking for, right? Those tokens, and how it lays down the patterns of tokens, and how it knows best what comes next after this one comes, this like bricks in the road, and how it learned how to do that. You get less concerned that works were stolen, that copyright works were stolen. Now, there is an active effort underway by some of the big players to gain access legitimately, legally, to copyrighted works. And so then you can open up a different set of questions in that regard. But we feel comfortable about being able to offer this service to authors in a way that's ethical. What becomes really interesting too is it ethical to use AI to write your own words? I say, listen, you come to your words in a variety of ways. You're the final filter on what goes down that page. Maybe you had a friend next door who suggested a character and you incorporated that. Maybe you went to a workshop and you learned from 10 people how to incorporate that. Maybe the AI said, here's what might flow more smoothly. And so you incorporate that. But in the end, it's the author's words. The authors have to bring their words to spoken. And that's just the way it works for us. So how they got to those words, we leave it to them to figure that out.
It has been a really fun journey just to play with the system. When Stacey introduced it, it's like, it's really easy. And I'm like, it's not easy. I've been trying to do audiobooks for a while. This is an entire process. What are you talking about? And you're right. It took a sitting. I was like, what? It's done? What do you mean it's done? So like, I'm doing the whole listening to, did it make sense? And I'm legit, I think I was so excited that I took my computer with me to other people. It's like, listen to this. And they're all like, ooh, okay then, like, what are we doing? So from a creator perspective, it has been a whole different form of just having fun with it and knowing how to like just share with my audience. Because I'm with you, I am an audiobook fanatic. So this is really exciting. So tell us, Dr. Phil, what is next for you? Because you have tons of stuff going on. What can our listeners of you expect from you as an author and also as an entrepreneur? Tell us.
Yeah, thanks. I ask myself that every morning, and most mornings I don't know the answer to that. So, but for you, for the benefit of your audience, I'll try to make something up here. First, the immediate priority is to make sure that Spoken gets into its V1, and our authors are happy, and they're having fun, like you said, generating those voices, choosing those voices, hearing their character in the voice that they might have imagined for a decade. And then on top of that, really trying to make the most out of a debut novel experience, and having a multimedia delivery of that novel. It's not just audiobook, but we're looking at doing serialized episodes that align with each chapter. And so those will be full-on video episodes. I have an AI called Ask Medlock, the inventor of anti-gravity, and you can ask him anything And he would know what the facts are up until the year 2081, which was the year he boarded an Ariel and hurled into the sun to finally become, as he says, a star. And so you can ask Medlock any question. He'll know it up to 2081, but he'll be happy to speculate beyond the year 2081. Of course, he does it with his own flamboyant and ridiculous style. So the multimedia delivery of the debut novel is very important. And then I have started book number 2, and I know exactly where it's all going to go, because the implications of what we learn from book number 1, which you don't learn all of it in the book, but it is speculated about. But it does become clear that this became a much bigger and transformative moment in human history, the biggest moment. And I'll leave the rest to discovery by your audience later. But I'm so happy to be able to share the story with you, because it's so very personal, and it has so many different dimensions for me, right? The company and the book and the theory and I don't know where it's all going to go. Usually, most mornings I just try to crawl back under the covers and cry myself back to sleep. But today you've hauled me out in front of the camera, and I'm like joyous. So here we are.
You're joyous and contagious, so I am loving every minute. I'm so excited you're here with us. I need to know, you have started this journey. You've been working on this book from one medium to another for over 20 years. And you're still doing it. You're still doing amazing things with it, and you're bringing it to life. What advice would you give to an up-and-coming author who's questioning themselves to take this leap and going, do I really want to put myself out there? What would you tell them?
Yeah. So, oh my gosh. So I actually, my team at Spoken and I are producing this docuseries called Taming the Perilous Skies, 100 Days to Launch, in order to in order to chronicle that exact journey for the debut author, to capture all that. But some of the essential things that I would say are, first of all, I haven't launched the book yet, so I can't say anything about what might come after that point. But what I will say is that it is a solo journey, and you will have plenty of helpers, but just realize that that is you powering forward. And so it's not going to happen without you driving it and without your passion. And so just embrace that. Embrace everybody who will help you all along the way, but just know that you are at the center of that group. They may carry you, right? Like footprints, the old poem, but for the most part, it's going to be entirely you. And so just embrace that and learn everything you can. And if you feel like there was a right way to do it and you didn't do it that way because this person said to do this and this person said to do that and that person on YouTube said to do that, don't fall into that. Because the truth is, if you ask 10 people exactly how you should launch your book, you're going to get 10 different answers. And so try to just culminate the most commonly cited paths forward. Do your best. But what I like to say is, when there's no right answer, there's no wrong answer. And the truth is that that taking arrows to the back will propel you forward to a point.
That is such a great way of saying it. That is so perfect. I love it.
One more for you. And if
Yeah.
you're not looking ahead, you're looking at someone else's behind.
Oh my God. That's so true.
Oh, I'm full of them.
I was like, wait, what? I was not prepared for that. Oh my God, that is so good. All right, Dr. Bill, I need to know, our audience needs to know, where can they find more about you, where they can learn more about this book, where are you located? We need to know, where can they find your socials? Tell us.
Yeah, I'm actually, oddly enough, I'm not really that active on social media. I'm so focused on Spoken, but drphilmarshall.com. So drphil marshall.com is where you'll find things about me and everything about Taming the Perilous Skies. And you can hear Kill Your Darlings, the very first story that was ever put on Spoken, that 6-character one I talked about earlier. And yeah, just trying to forge ahead, being creative and having fun and just trying to make a better future for all of us, Because self-publishing is, while a solo journey and it can feel lonely, the truth is it is an outpouring of your heart, and I think that should be done in audio as well. There was your last little plug.
I love it. I love it. And as an author, as well as, a creative, I appreciate everything you're doing. So, but before you leave us, because I had a blast talking to you and I can talk to you forever, are you ready for the lightning round?
Oh, yes.
So don't think too much about this. They're super easy and fun. Let's see how you do.
Okay.
Cold drinks or hot?
Cold.
Okay. Breakfast or dinner?
Dinner.
Pirate or knight?
What was it? What was that?
A pirate or a knight?
Oh, pirate.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate it. Here's a little different. Andrew or Apple?
Apple all the way. Yeah.
Really? I had
Yeah.
hopes. So,
Sorry.
it's okay. We're going to change
I'm
it
a
up
product
little.
person. Remember, I'm a product person. So that product they build. Yeah. So
Okay,
they're product
okay.
people. Yeah.
Can I even say anything? So yes. Here's a little different. If your life had a warning label, what would it be?
Caution, insufferable.
I love that. I'm going to put caution. Love it. Dr. Smith, it has been a pleasure having. Do you have
Oh,
any closing
see.
remarks for us?
Oh, just to thank you for the good work that you're doing, and thanks for giving voice to not only the self-publishing community, but also to great characters. And we can't wait to hear from them.
It's going to be fabulous. So congratulations to our listeners and our viewers. Book is coming out September 12th. You need to check out the site and make sure to pre-order. The book's amazing. If you enjoy a fun adventure, this is the book. And I love the cover, by the way. So I'm just like, yes.
Thank you. Yeah,
So-
Jason Gurley, who lives very close to me, actually did Hugh Howey's covers for the Silo series. So you might know that
Yeah.
from Apple TV Plus. And he just happens to live a few miles away. And I'm like, what? That guy? Like, I have to find him. And so he's just, yeah, he's brilliant. Anyway, plug for him too. So.
This is what all the community is all about. Sharing love, sharing our characters and our voices. So Dr.
Yeah.
Bill, congratulations again. We
Thank you.
truly appreciate you. Thank you for joining us. To our viewers, thank you so much, my friends, for being part of this amazing episode. You got to see an insight into many things that normally we don't talk about. So hopefully you enjoyed it. Check out the book. And if you're new to the podcast, subscribe. You don't want to miss a single episode. And because we're doing Saturday bash and master plans of episodes, I'll be back at 12:05 Central Time with another amazing author. So come and check us out. Bye, everyone. See you soon.